It's Saturday night, and we're playing poker in Dallas, baby. It's TCH Live. Once again, a special Zoom edition of TCH Live to bring you the final table of the weekly $365 buy-in with a twist. Instead of single reentry, it's unlimited reentries today, everybody, and a 20,000 guarantee instead of the regular 10K guarantee. We started with 173 entrants and $51,900 in the prize pool, and we are down to the final 9. My name's Ben Kirby, and I am alone and unafraid tonight, everybody. So shout out to everybody spending their Saturday night with me and TCH Live as we get into our first hand of this final table with a bunch of crushers and some familiar faces. Walter R. opening King Queen offsuit, middle position to 60K. Headed over to Chris with King 9 offsuit on the button, contemplating a call. It says all in, but I don't think that's correct. Chris is all in for 15K. I'm tracking. So Chris all in for less. And just like that, we've got an all in on the very first hand. Shout out to the chat as always. Let me know where you're watching from. And if you played this tournament today, let me know how it went for you. I mean, I'm assuming not that great if you're not on the final table, but we'd love to hear of those who actually played in the tournament today. As we have an all-in here, ace-6-9, and actually the all-in player outflops the king-queen and is going to double up 55K in this pot, headed over to, who was that? Chris, I think, is the one that doubled up. Blinds 10K, 20K, final 9. Huge field today, 173 players. We usually get about, 100 to 120 each weekend, but the double guarantee as well as the unlimited reentries attracted a bigger player pool. So we over doubled the guaranteed prize pool, and first place is guaranteed over $14,000 US, $14,012. Everybody right now is guaranteed 1,249 US TCH dollars. So good luck to all these players, and I mean, shout out to seat 9 Chris, who just doubled up for his tournament of life. Michael Skrasinski, I busted in 22nd, completely my fault. Shoot. Adam Fisher had king high flush and ran into ace high flush. Well, that's brutal. And it is dad talking in the house with ya. JTN 1968. King versus stop and go limp re-raise with pocket aces. Woof. Party Life 9 in Ohio. What up, David R. in Spain? It's an international TCH affair. Tim Wong watching from California. What's up, Tim? Seat 5, Gray, raising it to 50K. We're playing 10K, 20K. Chris contemplating another tournament life on the line decision. King 7 suited might be good enough in the cutoff here. I think most people would be coming along there. Sam Brown, pocket 3s in the big blind. 400K in his stack, about 20 bigs. Do you reship here against a huge stack under the gun +1? He's asking a question about how much. Michael's cruising. See, the 8 seat was down to 8K when the big blind was 2K. Nice comeback. Yeah, that's a pretty solid rally. And he's going to get out of there with Gray completing. Chris is all in for an additional 5K, and Chris is all in for his tournament life. Back-to-back hands, King 7 suited versus Ace Jack off, 140,000 chips. This is a pretty serious pot for Chris here. Deuce 9-9. Dead to a king or a 7, and now picks up a huge flush draw. River, and he rivers the king high flush. Chris, kill pot here. He's going to win a nice additional 85,000 chips and stay alive in his pursuit for that first place prize of $14,000. If you're watching tonight and enjoying some tournament poker, hit that like button for me. 107 of you watching. A special Zoom edition. I'm at the comfort of my home. Praise God. Coming to you live from Richardson, Texas. But the final table off Harry Hines Boulevard at TCH Dallas is underway. We're on a 15-minute delay, but it's about as live as you could ever hope for. And all these players right now are guaranteed let's see, $1,200 something as I watch the payouts go back up. Yeah, $1,249, and eighth place will be $1,566. First place being $14,012. Huge first place prize for a $365 buy-in. Faison Ali, cold deck. Yeah, that's pretty cold. Victor F just opened shipping here. Pocket Kings under the gun +2 for $230K. My guy Rhino, pretty regular 4 and 5 card player in the cash streets. Good to see him. Chris, another playable hand, Queen Jack suited in the hijack. I mean, this works every time until it doesn't work. But I think you probably have to go along with this plan. Well, I mean, you got 8 big blinds, technically. I think this is, I mean, you'd prefer to be the one shipping it in, but also Queen Jack suited about as good as you could hope for with 8 bigs. As Chris contemplates proverbial life or death decisions. Pretty sweaty final table here so far for Chris. But it's pretty fun, you know, when you only have basically 2 decisions. All in or fold, and he's going to run it. Queen Jack suited in the hijack. Scuba Scott here. Not immediately folding with the 5-6 suited. Maybe he hasn't looked at his cards yet. Trying to get a count. He's got 1.1 million in chips. He might be the chip leader. Tempting to try to eliminate 2 players at once. What does Scuba Scott think about? I'm assuming he wants to eliminate 2 players, but he's just going to take his time. So everybody else around the table knows that there's probably an elimination coming. Victor F versus Chris, Pocket Kings and Queen Jack suited. 430,000 chips in the pot, heading to a flop. Ace Jack Deuce. A little bit of equity, even more equity on the turn. But Chris cannot beat the Pocket Kings. 430,000 chips. Headed over to Victor F. And Chris will be eliminated in 9th place for $1,249. Congratulations to you, Chris. Well done. And congrats to the final 8 players now that they're guaranteed about $1,500. $1,566 for all of the 8th place, or whoever finishes 8th place. We're still playing 10K, 20K with a 20K big blind ante. My name's Ben, and I am your solo commentator for this evening's Zoom edition of TCH Live. We appreciate you joining us and your dedication to these live streams. What have y'all been up to this weekend other than sitting around waiting for TCH Live to go live once again? Let me know in the chat. And while you're doing that, hit that like button for me. 153 of you watching, 20 of you liking. Always appreciate when you hit that like button for us. And I like the pace so far of this final table. A lot of all-ins and calls, and so that bodes well for us as we watch from afar for an action-packed final table. Scuba Scott here. The Ducks quack quack in the hijack, raising it to 63x. In late position, he's only got to get through a couple players. Michael Tilton, yeah, sitting around waiting for TCH Live. Hey, I appreciate that, Michael. Yeah, it's about how my weekend's gone as well. Scuba Scott's going to take it down. Pocket deuces on to the next one. Scuba Scott is leading the way, 1.1 million with Gray, bringing up the 2nd place position, 880K. And David E. on the bottom with 240,000 chips. David R., I don't usually give a thumbs up this early in the proceedings, but what the hell? You know, the poker and commentary is going to be good here at TCH. That's right. That is right. That's about all we can guarantee you is that the poker and the commentary are going to be good. And I appreciate you not making me work for it this early, David R. Thank you for giving me that like. On to the next one, hand number 5. Okay, I thought we were playing 10K, 20K with a 20K big blind. It might just be 10K, 20K. No, there's 20K in the middle, the graphic. No context with a lot of confidence. I can easy win this. Hey, man. All it takes is to show up on a Saturday with 365 US TCH dollars. And you could win this, bro. It just takes, they started at 11 a.m. today. So they're about, what, 9 hours and 45 minutes into this? Playing for 14 grand. JT in 1960. Mikey had a dog in the background last week. Are you going to have your kid in the background tonight? He very well could at least be screaming in the back. I make no guarantees about the sound environment here because I do have a 6-week-old that is, learning a lot of life lessons and in turn giving us very loud feedback about those life lessons. So you very, very well could hear from the baby talking, but I'll try my best to give you the most pleasant listening experience as possible from my home in Richardson, Texas. Basically, it's like a richer, more ritzy part of Dallas. Or it's like a richer, more ritzy Highland Park, Richardson up here. So only for the immensely wealthy, immensely famous types. So sorry to flex on y'all. Rhino. Cash game crusher. Jack 5 suited. No good. Clarence B. Limping here, 20K. Queen 9 suited. And Gray thinking about it on the button, 2-4 suited. And he's going to raise here, 75K on the button. Walter R. with the nut low, going to get out of the way. Victor F. real hand here, ace jack suited in the big blind. What do you do with 420K here? 145K in this pot facing a 75,000 chip raise, and it looks like he's going to call 55K. And Gray looks like he's going to come along as well. I'm sorry. Gray was the one that raised deuce 4. So Victor F and Clarence B both called. So Gray here flops a wheel draw and a heart draw. Clarence B, not much of anything. Victor F, top pair, pretty good kicker. Checks around to Gray on the button, who's going to bet 85,000 chips. Victor F check ships it here, 365K. Gray might have to call this. I don't know. It's basically a coin flip. I don't know if he's got to call this or not, but it's a wheel draw and a very low heart draw facing an all-in for basically half of Gray's stack. Nicole Weinman, the payouts, 14,012 for first, 8,660 for second. Let me get back to the hand here. Gray's going to call here. 3 of diamonds on the turn. 4 on the river is not going to do it. A million chip pot. Victor F, huge double up here. 545,000 chips additionally added to his stack as Gray called with a huge draw and couldn't run pure. So now Victor F skyrockets to the number 2 spot in the leaderboards with Scuba Scott only 100K above. Getting back to the payouts, let's got to scroll back up. My bad. Second is 8,660. Third, 6,234. Fourth, 4,569. Fifth, 3,408. Sixth, 2,586. Somebody could also type those in the chat. That might be helpful. If somebody wanted to type the payouts in the chat. Trying to do too much here. Like I said, alone and unafraid. My name's Ben, and I'm your sole commentator for tonight. So you got to deal with my voice, whether it be in or out. Good chance that I lose my voice at some point because I just get too excited calling these tournament final tables. Hand number 7, 10K, 20K, 20K Big Blind Annie, Scuba Scott, pocket sixes, the chip leader. And it looks like he's going to open up for 55,000 or so. Benjamin Wynn, y'all paying out in British pounds now? We've been paying out in British pounds. That graphic hasn't changed when they show the payouts for some reason. I don't know why that is. So Scuba Scott opening pocket sixes under the gun, pockets to 55K. Gray, ace 7 off in the cutoff. Yeah, better not spend too much time with that one. Bunch of folds around. Victor F coming off a huge win there. 1 million chips in the small blind. But 9-5, no good. Rhino, 9-3 suited. It looks like in the big blind, do you defend 35K? But you do not. So Scuba Scott's going to have another uncontested pot there. Taking a look at the chip counts, David E. and Sam Brown at the bottom, 19 and 12 big blinds respectively. The rest of the table is going to be looking for those guys to be eliminated ASAP. Oh, look, we got dollar signs now in the payouts. 1,566, 1,996 for 8th and 7th, and that $14,000 payday up top. JT in 1968 dad talking. Now you know why dude talking drinks so much rain and or C4. Yeah. For real. Yeah, I'm going to have to make some tea here shortly, I think. And number 8, clearance B, Jack 9 suited. Definitely playable in a cash context. Sam Brown, though, ace king off, under the gun +1. He's going to open it up. It looks like probably 60K. 60K. With the ace king, the big slick, under the gun +1. I'm not sure what he's thinking. Jack deuce off. A lot of contemplative decision making here. How about Rhino with pocket aces in the small blind? Really trying to drink it in to make sure he's really experiencing what he's actually experiencing here. 650K in his stack in the small blind. Not super concerned, it seems. He's facing a 50K raise. And I imagine we're gonna see a 3-bet here from Rhino. The question is, what size? Mercine Films, what was the buy-in? $365 with unlimited re-entries. Rhino, if I know anything about him, he's probably going to, yep, straight up 3-bet here. That looks like 160. And I imagine Sam Brown's getting all in. Rhino's going to call. All in a call. Aces versus ace king. Just about the best possible situation you could hope for. 810,000 chip pot. Sam Brown's tournament life on the line. 8th place on the line. Queen 6-7 is going to be no good. And he's drawing dead now on the turn. 8 of spades on the river. Sam Brown is going to be eliminated in 8th place. Rhino, big Rhino. He's going to be in. He's tied for chip lead, 1.1 million in chips after that huge win. 8th place is going to win $1,566. Congrats to Sam Brown for that great cash. It's always nice to make a little money on the tournament, which is because it's just so rare unless you're just on a heater or you're just a crusher. So always nice to win something for one of these tournaments. $365 buy-in. Don't believe everything you hear on the internet. And just like that, we're down to 7. Everybody's guaranteed $1,996. So we're starting to talk about some serious money here. We're seeing films. There was 173 entrants. I'm not sure how many of those entrants are unique entries, but 173 times 365, 51,900 in the prize pool. Yeah, you know, modern school of thinking, or at least live poker, you don't love it when people tank. Sometimes it can be strategic if you're trying to put pressure on the super small stacks, but it's definitely annoying when people tank for way too long in a tournament because you only get so many hands per level, and if somebody's in there tanking every hand, it can get kind of tilting. Walter R opening up 75K, King 9 offsuit in the hijack. Victor F, Jack 10 suited in the cutoff. Rhino here on a heater. He's going to get out of the way. Scuba Scott, pocket 9s in the small blind, facing an open from a pretty big stack, 765K from Walter R. Scuba Scott's just going to call in the small blind. I think oftentimes you want to be 3-betting or folding from the small blind just because you're in such a terrible position. Oh, wow. Walter R outflopped Scuba Scott's pocket 9s. King 6-4. So Walter R, 94% equity versus the pocket 9s of Scuba Scott. Scuba Scott has 1 out. Ouch. It's pretty brutal. 225,000 to Scuba Scott. Pretty dry board here. I'm not going to pretend to know whose range this hits better, but with the pocket 9s, you might be tempted to call one here just because if he doesn't have a king, you're pretty good. 7 of hearts on the turn. If you were good on the flop, you're still good on the turn. Nice check by Walter R, I think, to give Scuba Scott one opportunity to bluff, in which he's going to take it. He's going to get snapped by Walter R, I'm willing to bet. Scuba Scott nonchalantly betting 150. Walter R is going to call. 940K chip pot. Headed over to Walter R, who's now got 1.3 million in chips. Scuba Scott just gave up like almost half of his stack, it looks like. The swings are crazy here at this level. I mean, we're not playing super deep stack. There's a little margin for moves if you've got a huge stack, but you saw that Scuba Scott was at the top of the leaderboard. Now he's in the middle after giving up about 400,000 or 500,000 in chips over to Roger R. I'm sorry, Walter R. Excuse me. David E. still bringing up the rear, 250K, 12 big blinds. He's going to be looking for a spot to get all of his chips in here shortly. As we head to the next hand. Hand number 10. We've lost 2 players in the matter of 10 total hands. Walter R with another playable-ish hand. Queen Jack off. Kind of early position. What do you do with 1.3 million in chips? Do you start to steamroll the table now that you know that you've got the chip lead? Put the pressure on the small stacks, and I think he's going to do that. I'm sorry. Nope. He's just going to call there for 20K. The lighting, it's kind of hard to see if he raised or not. Rhino, another big hand. Ace Jack off in the cutoff, coming off of his huge pocket aces win. Facing a limp from Walter R. Rhino is probably going to put a raise in here. There's 70K in the pot. Rhino looking like he might have hopped off the golf course this afternoon. I'm not sure. The weather in Dallas was a little iffy early in the day, but it turned out nice this afternoon, so maybe he hit the links for a bit. So Rhino is going to raise it 85K. Walter R knows that Rhino could really put a huge dent on his stack if they, like, for example, if a jack flops, it could get real expensive for Walter R. Walter R is just going to fold it. So far, Rhino can do no wrong. 1.2 million right behind Walter R. Walter R probably didn't want to give up for this hand, I guess, his chip lead. Queen Jack off, the limp there in early position might not be the most optimal play. You either probably need to fold or raise. Limping doesn't really accomplish much. Doesn't really play that great multi-way. Can't really call a raise out of position. I think maybe the better play would be to either raise or fold. Steve Moore, maybe the stalling is to get the pitch count up, try to get some tilt going. Not my way, but just a thought. People have definitely used it for that very purpose. Some of the more cold-hearted players out there on the bubble, especially at the bubble, but especially at the final table as well. It's pretty. It can be frustrating if you're a short stack trying to find your spot, and there's dudes with huge stacks that are taking their sweet precious time. Evildoer Voltaire, not enough thumbs up. That's right. It's almost 300 of you watching. Hit that thumbs up for me. David E., this is a spot. Small blind, blind versus blind, queen jack suited. You just got to shove here, bro. Is that 200 or 280? Hard to see. Gray, jack 8. He's only got 370 behind. David E. needed this spot here. And it looks like he's going to get a walk. 250,000 total chips. Add 40K to your stack. That's what you needed. So we're down to 7. We started with 173 at 11 a.m. today. Unlimited reentries. If you had $365 times unlimited, you could have entered that many times in this tournament up until registration closed. So that allowed us to over double the guaranteed prize pool of $20,000 all the way up to $51,900 in the prize pool. It's a pretty significant weekend tournament, I would say, especially in Dallas, Texas, not having to drive up north or down south. Pretty good tournament here for a $14,000 first place prize here. Rhino King 5 suited, under the gun +1. He's got the chips, but he thinks better of it. He's also got the chips to sustain playing a little tighter. The guy who looks like Cormier is going to win. Maybe so. David E., another decision, 10-7 off on the button. Gray, jack 7 off in the small blind. Blind versus blind. Pretty key opportunities here to pick up some chips. But just going to give Walter R a walk, who had a playable pocket threes. D. Gonzalez, 75-051. Is this final table or feature table? It's the final table. The final 7 players of our weekly $365 unlimited reentry tournament. We play this tournament every Saturday starting at 11 a.m. So if you're in the Dallas area or want to play a pretty high value tournament, a pretty good value tournament each weekend, head on to Texas Card House Dallas off Harry Hines Boulevard. We're like 10 minutes down the road from the airport. Dude, fly in, get in on some of this tournament action. Also, there's cash game action going 24/7 at TCH Dallas, as well as TCH Austin, Houston, and Rio Grande Valley. Zach Barnett, let's go, Ryan. Yep, Rhino. This man's won a few of my Benny dollars at the Congress game, which I did not appreciate. But he definitely earned them because he's pretty good at the game. Gray here, pocket 7s, facing a raise by Scuba Scott, queen 10 suited. Gray's going to shove on the button with pocket 7s. Greg Potter's favorite hand. Walter R, ace-10 offsuit in the small blind. What do you do with a raise, a shove, and ace-10 off in the small blind? I'm assuming you're going to fold, but also, I don't know. I don't have enough context for these players to know if Scuba Scott's really loose and whether or not Walter R is giving respect to Scuba Scott's initial raise. I think heads up, this is a snap call versus Gray, but and Walter R is going to put in the call for 310K. Victor F with ace-5 suited in the big blind. And again, I'm not a tournament pro by any means, so this is take the commentary with a grain of salt. It's more for color and less for GTO analysis. It's more of Greg's arena, and I don't pretend to be a GTO crusher. So if you would have played a hand a different way, let me know. Always trying to learn myself, and also it helps others learn to discuss the most optimal plays here. So Scuba Scott facing all in from Gray with Queen 10 suited. It looks like he's going to fold, but yeah, and he's going to get out of the way. So Gray's tournament life on the line. Pocket 7s versus ace 10. Not exactly a flip because some of the aces were folded. At least one of the aces were folded. 6, Jack 4, King of Diamonds. So many more outs in the turn. And wow, runner, diamonds here for Walter R. And he's going to win with a 10 high flush and eliminate Gray in 7th place. Gray, don't blame the shove. He's going to walk home with $1,996 for his efforts for his 7th place finish in the 20K guaranteed 365 buy-in. Congrats to him. Well played. Unfortunate run out. That's tournament poker, folks. Walter R. continuing to run great. Extending his chip lead. And as we get on to the next hand, Texas Card House will be putting on, believe it or not, a poker cruise next year, March 20th through 27th in the year of our Lord, 2022. Liberty of the Seas through Royal Caribbean. You can get all the info at texascardhouse.com. Back to Scuba Scott. We tried to make a play with the Queen 10 suited, got out of it for relatively cheap. And Walter R., he's got almost 2 million at chips, 1.7. Ace 10, interesting. It's just a weird spot, Ace 10 there, with players behind and a raise and a re-raise. I don't know. I mean, I guess it was cheap enough for him that he called one, but I wonder if the better play would be just to ship it. I don't know. What do y'all think? JTN 1968. You're doing a great stream as always, but why are you working at home and solo? The audio is great, no static, not sounding like you're in a tin can or like a tuna can. We have the capability to do it remotely, and since it was just me and we had the capability to do it, and I had the audio equipment, figured why not? Let's just do it here. Keeps me from having to drive to the card house, and if it's the exact same, might as well save the mileage. That's right. Brad Owen and Andrew Nemi are down at the Rio Grande Valley Texas Card House yesterday and today. Greg's out sick, I think. That's why he couldn't make it tonight. As we see Victor F with ace queen off in the small blind versus Walter R again on the button with 2 unknown cards. Walter R raised pre-flop and Victor F completed pre. Ace on the turn. Aces and queens for Victor F here. Huge hand. I imagine Walter R doesn't have much of this. Deuce on the river. Walter R checks to Victor F, and Victor F looks like he might be over betting here. No, he's not. Bets about half pot, 275. You know, math is hard. A little over half pot, right? Yeah, working from home is nice. I mean, we've done this for the past year plus because of the Corvid, but for things like this, it's pretty nice to be able to do it from your home. Technology is impressive. We've got RFID cards and commentators from afar. Who'da thunk it? So Victor F bet 275 here, 735 in the pot. And we don't know what Walter R has, but it sounds like he's really thinking about it. Unless he's Hollywooding. And he's going to get out of there. Plus 260, plus 260,000 chips over to Victor F. And Victor F is not letting Walter R off the hook. He's had a couple huge hands against Walter R on the left there, and Walter, I'm sure, is not appreciative of his aggression towards his left. Michael Tilton with a little comedy. Half pot is just CBD. All right. Okay. All right. How long are you going to be here? All week? Was Potter drinking cheap tequila last night? I don't know. I do not know. So we're down to 6. We're playing 6 max poker. This is the some no limit holders would some no limit hold'em players would call this the purest form of the 2-card game. 6 max, you have a wider ranges, you get more opportunities to play like this. David E, 250K behind 3-4 suited in the hijack, but he thinks better of it. Hawaii boy, is this live? It's live on a 15-minute delay. So everything that you're watching right now happened 15 minutes ago, and I'm commenting in real time. Rhino here, King 10 off in the small blind. Blind versus blind. Definitely playable. G Miles 42. It's TCH Live. Hence the name. Hence the name. Michael Tilton, I'll keep the day job. Hey, man, you might have missed your calling, bro. Some good jokes. Some good jokes. King 10 versus the day job 9 to 5 in the big blind. Oh, so Rhino just limped here in the small blind. 3-7 deuce. Rhino still ahead with King high. Scuba Scott with nada. But he's got heart, 555,000. Rhino gonna lead here, 30K. Third pot, four diamonds on the turn. No help to anybody. Scuba Scott picks up a straight draw here, inside straight draw. And Rhino still with 2 overs. Aggressive check that kind of makes, almost seems like a tell. And Scuba Scott quickly bets 100K. Rhino's like, what? Okay. Rhino's like, all right. You know, he floated me on the flop and bet huge on the turn. Probably hit his, his range was uncapped in the big blind, I guess. Maybe not uncapped. Okay. He would have raised with certain hands in the big blind. All right. There's WPT live. They say it's not live. This is very live. It would be great if it wasn't live, because then I could, edit out my commentary, hit him with a few jokes, edit out the ones that don't work, do some research on the players. But this is as live as it gets. So I'm commentating in real time. We're still playing 10K, 20K. I'm sorry, 15K, 30K with a 30K big blind ante. Hand number 16. We've eliminated 3 players already. Walter R on a heater, 1.5 million in the hijack, ace 3 offsuit. Yeah, and if you're curious, you can definitely download the Poker Atlas app. It's totally free, and you can go navigate over to TCH Texas Card House Dallas, and they actually have live tournament clocks there with all the payouts, the structure, the upcoming tournaments, the live cash game waitlist, all that good stuff. So download Poker Atlas app if you haven't already, and you can self-serve in a lot of ways. Rhino Queen 10 off on the button. It's folded to him. Definitely good for a raise. Looks like 75K. Full pot. Fold, fold. And Rhino's going to take this one down. So button moves. Walter R has been the most active. The most, made it the most times to showdown. 365 watching. Feel like that's a high number for a Saturday night. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in. 369. Nice. If you're new, if you just tuned in, hit that like button for us. My name's Ben. I'm here alone and unafraid, commenting the final table of the 365 buy-in, unlimited re-entry, 20K guarantee. First place tonight, $14,000. Rhino 10-7 suited. This might tempt him here. 1.1 million in the cutoff. Jared Farber played a lot with Rhino last 2 weeks and 1-2. Solid cash game player. Yeah, he's got game, and he plays bigger than that. The 1-2 I played with the dealer's choice game and the PLO round and round game, round of each game, and it's not very fun to play against him. He's going to open it up to 75K here again. David E. can't do it with the Jack 5 off. A little frustrated, probably. Rhino wants to capitalize on that, and he does. So far, Scuba Scott has given up his chip lead, and Victor F. and Walter R. have been capitalizing on this final table on their way to some huge payouts. Sorry, I'm doing way too much here. And number 18, shout out to, what's the dealer's name? I know his name. He's been slinging them out there pretty quick. The dealers for the live streams have been very impressive to me. As you see up there, we do have a progressive bad beat jackpot, 48,588 in that jackpot currently. All you got to do is play the 2-card cash games, no limit hold'em, and have your quad 10s beat by a straight flush or better. And that's at any Texas Card House location. You could get your share of $48,000 right now if you have your quad 10s beat by a straight flush or better. Scuba Scott raising it to 60K. King 9 offsuit in the cutoff, and Walter R in the big blind is going to defend for 30K more. Queen 7-9. Walter R flops middle pair. Scuba Scott middle pair as well. Better kicker though. Walter R is just going to donk here. 165 in the pot. Robert Baldwin, thank you for the stream. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate the kind words. Ace of clubs on the turn. Scuba Scott continues to improve. He doesn't know he's in this good a spot. Walter R using that ace of clubs to bet. Strange line here. This is like 2 pair or nothing. This is like exactly Queen 7 or 9-7 that's leading here on this flop, I think. Ace of clubs on the turn. Scuba Scott, though, can't do it. 540K. Walter R, pure aggression there, is going to take this one down with the worst of it. And those are the payouts. Again, all these players guaranteed $2,586 right now. So yeah, for the bad beat jackpot, you have to have, if you're playing in a cash game, 2-card cash game, not applicable for the PLO variants, but if you're playing the 2-card no limit hold'em, have to have both sets of whole cards play, and quad 10s has to be beat by a straight flush or better. Not the easiest prospect in the world, but the payoff is outstanding. I think the loser of the hand, the quad 10s or better that got beat, gets the 50% of the bad beat. So quick maths, what is that, 24,000 something? A pretty nice payday, especially if you're playing 1-2. Hey, honey, I actually won some money playing 1-2. 24 grand to be exact. Now I can just play higher. David E shoving on the button, Queen 10 suited. Walter R with 1.7 million behind. Asking for a count. Just not that many chips from David E. So Walter R. is looking for a reason to call here. We just don't know what he has. Walter R. really in the tank and will fold. Victor F. King 3 off in the big blind also folds. So David E. gets a walk, plus 75,000 chips. When you're short stack, it's nice to get a walk. I mean, you'd prefer a double up, but the second best feeling, I think, is to get a walk. 15K, 30K with a 30K big blind ante. For those that are new to tournament poker, how we used to play tournaments is that at a certain point in the tournament, all the players around the table would have to pay an ante for every hand in addition to the blinds. Now, in order to speed things up, the big blind, each hand pays the ante for the rest of the players at the table. Just keeps the dealer from having to say, hey, your ante, please, give me your ante, give me your ante. And instead, it's only on tap for one person. So it hurts when you're a short stack that has to pay the big blind and the ante, but it's better for the game, I think. So that's why it's 15K, 30K, 30K. So when you're the big blind, you basically have to pay double, which isn't fun, but everybody's got to do it. So it evens out. Looks like we changed decks. Getting a fresh shuffle. Wash that deck there, dealer. Send some luck my way. Some of these players, other than Walter R, are saying. And Walter R is saying, I don't know, I kind of preferred that deck. Next hand. Final table. Every hand counts here when you're playing for 14 grand. Hand number 20. Clarence B not having much to work with here. 380K. He's going to have to pick a spot here shortly. Walter R with the second nut low. Deuce 3 off on the button. And Rhino's going to get a walk. Ace-9 suited. So it's 9:20 on a Saturday night. We've got 6 remaining in our weekly $365 buy-in, no limit hold'em tournament. We stream 3 times a week, Saturday night, Tuesday night, and Wednesday night from Dallas, and TCHLive Austin streams Sunday night, Monday night, and Thursday night. So 6 nights a week of free live poker content. And if you don't like watching it, come be a part of it. Come play at any of the Texas Card House locations across the state of Texas. $365 was the buy-in. Unlimited re-entries. Walter R. King 10 suited in the cutoff. Contemplating his next move. Looks like he probably said 100 straight. And he does. Rhino in the small blind. Queen 10 suited. Got a pretty big chip stack himself. G Miles 42. TCH Austin isn't on Poker Atlas currently. The rest of them are. So Walter R raised to 100K. Scuba Scott thinking about a call with King 9 off in the big blind. And is going to give Walter R another walk. So we are progressing through this conclusion of our weekly unlimited re-entry, 20K guaranteed, no limit hold'em tournament. 173 entries tonight, down to 6. I don't know if y'all have been by Texas Card House recently, but I think because of the stream, the action has been out of this world. The tables are full no matter. I mean, at least in Dallas, I haven't been to the locations around the others, the rest of the Texas locations in a while. But in Dallas specifically, the room has been full at like all hours of the day and night, and I think it's a big part due to the stream. People are learning about how good the action is here in Dallas and seeing it on stream. So we appreciate everybody watching the stream, hitting the like button, and sharing it with their friends, families, and enemies. Come through to TCH Dallas. The water's fine, and there's a good chance you win some money because there's a whole wide range of players that come to TCH Dallas. Scuba Scott here in the small blind asks for a count from Clarence B, and Clarence B is going to jam Ace Jack off after Scuba Scott asks. 8-7 off in the small blind. Scuba Scott thought he was going to get to see a flop, and Clarence B said, "Nah, dude, you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to pay." And their chip stacks are relatively close in size, and Clarence B has been waiting for this spot. Good jam there by Clarence B. And he's going to get that one through. Taking a look at the payouts once again. 6th place, $2,500. 5th place, $3,400. So each one of these positions is worth more and more money. And everybody at the table knows that. And so they're trying to not screw it up. They're trying to get their money in good and hold, while also waiting out the other players. David Smith, poker rooms in Florida, at least South Florida, have been busy too. Yeah, I imagine it's just people are more comfy getting out of there and have been itching to get back at the tables. And Dallas is no exception. Walter B, a middling ace-9 off here under the gun, raising it to 100 straight. Rhino's made a couple of these final tables. Maybe Walter R has made one of these final tables before. I don't recognize the rest of the players here. David E, Queen Jack suited in the big blind. He's going to go all in. 240. Walter R is probably going to call this. Asks for a count. It just might be a little too cheap. David E might not have any fold equity here. Commentator, or no context, says, "Commentator, tell us about your poker history." Well, me and the buds used to play back in the moneymaker era, playing 5 cent, 10 cent, $5 tournaments, that kind of stuff. And that progressed into college. I played a bit in college to pay for fraternity dues and such up in Oklahoma, and have since been a big fan of the game. Really enjoy the limit mixed games. Actually, those are the most fun to me. And I'll get right back to it, as I think this is hand 23 and the graphics get messed up a bit. Okay, so David E won the hand. It went so quick. I'll look back at the playback here. Queen Jack versus Ace 9. Flop to flush draw, rivers the 9 of hearts for the Queen High flush. Okay. So David E is going to get a full double there with the Queen Jack suited versus the Ace 9. Played poker basically when Moneymaker started, and then played into college, got more serious about it, and then stopped when I was in the military. Here and there, I got to play a little bit once I was on the East Coast. And when I lived in Austin, started dealing for Texas Card House in their South location before the nice new North location opened up, and then dealt at the North location for a bit. And when after we moved to Dallas, I had stayed in touch with the crew at Texas Card House, and they put a call out for commentators. And I was like, dude, I could do this. I mean, I love to talk about poker, and I'm not scared. And so I made an audition video. I did a live audition with AA Ron down in Austin, and now I'm here. Speaking of incredible poker talent like me, Brad Owen and Andrew Nemi, the vlogger extraordinaires, are going to be at TCH Dallas June 8th and 9th. They're going to be on the stream and commentating June 8th. And then June 9th, they're going to be doing a meetup game at TCH Dallas. So if you want to try to win some Bradley and Andrew dollars, come through June 8th and 9th to Texas Card House Dallas. So shout out to the chat. Thanks for the question. Thanks for asking. I usually don't get to talk about that much, but yeah, I'm a big fan of. I mean, I'm not a high stakes grinder by any means, but I'm a big fan of the limit mix games. Those are more fun to me. I don't like the whole soul crushing, stare you down, no limit hold'em. I can play it, and it's fun, but I just prefer to play limit where it's less. The decisions are easier, honestly. But yeah, that was fun. I mean, I happened onto poker basically whenever, right when they started showing it on ESPN, when it was really well produced. That was just like the poker heyday when everybody was wearing patches and getting paid, making celebrities out of rando dudes in Vegas. That was a fun time for poker, and that's what got us into it. There was one summer where we played pretty much every single night, like 5 cent, 10 cent, or $5 re-entry tournaments. We had no idea what we were doing, but it was super fun. And then went to school at Arkansas. Did you hear my voice crack there? Went to school at Arkansas, and so there was a few good poker rooms around, like Pecola, Oklahoma, Siloam Springs, Tulsa. So I got to play around there as well. No context. Is it better money for commentary or dealing? Probably dealing. Probably dealing. But this is commentating is way more fun. So it's like it matters what depends on what you care about. Commentating is way more fun. You don't get, sometimes when you are dealing to guys that are super stuck and you screw something up, it's not a really fun experience. So commentating, I got to deal with you chat pros, but that's way easier than dealing with somebody that's stuck $5,000 at a 1-2 table and then you misdeal or something. It's not that fun. Virtual Mellow or Brad and Andrew only playing 2, 5, and 5, 10. I'm not sure what the stakes they're playing. I imagine they're going to dabble around in everything. They've been known to play 1, 2. I just don't have the what their actual schedule is in terms of cash games. If you're enjoying the stream tonight, switching it up with a little tournament poker instead of the weeks of cash poker we've been playing, hit that like button for me. It shows the YouTube algorithm that this is the place to be. This is the poker stream to be watching on Saturday night. Scuba Scott, 105K, King Jack off, under the gun. He has dwindled a bit in his chip stack. David E. with another Queen Jack off. He did really well with his previous one, but he got out of the way smartly. Yes, pro tip, get a tattoo of push-fold charts on the back of your hand. That's right, because those are never going to change. The math is consistent. NS, what's the highest buy-in tournament you have at TCH? It's always going to change. I mean, we've had a $600 buy-in and we've had at least a $600 buy-in tournament that got pretty huge. So Victor F here, pocket kings in the small blind. And he's just going to did he shove it or he just 3-bet? He's going to 3-bet. Huge. Looks like 400 something. Mad Benjamin, the stream has been liked. Thanks, Mad Benjamin. Appreciate you. Jared Farber wins the next big multi-flight tournament. Hopefully a smaller price point. I don't know, but it's coming. So Victor F here, 3-bet to 420. My son's birthday, unfortunately, I guess. Fortunately and unfortunately. So Scuba Scott's got to basically call for his tournament of life with King Jack off under the gun as a 6%. He's got 6% equity. If he calls here, I don't think he's going to call. I think he's just Hollywooding a bit, which is unfortunate because the time is of the essence. Slightly upset Canadian. How much okay, Scuba Scott's going to fold. How much do dealers make on average? I'm assuming tips play a big part. And the higher stakes you deal, for the more you make. I honestly don't know the average. I know, certain days you can get some really nice tips. Other days, maybe the tips aren't as good. TOTM, Greenish, anybody. What's VPIP? It stands for voluntarily put in pot. It's just a percentage of how often each player puts money or chips in the pot, either by betting, raising, or calling. Hand number 27. Clarence B, pocket twos, under the gun, insta-fold. David E, king 10 off in the hijack. He's got $500,000 in chips. He's made a rally for himself. I think he started the final table with like 240. He's up to 510. George Little, good point. Many of the higher stakes games are loaded with pros, and dealers would rather the table be filled with rec players. They tip better. Probably a good point. I mean, pros are trying to maximize their profits, and tips definitely cut into your profits. And so maybe rec players would think less about the amount that they tip. Rhino here, pocket sixes in the small blind. Blind versus blind again. Hand before he limped, and it looks like he's just going to jam here versus Scuba Scott. With the computer hand, Queen 7 off. Rhino's going to take this one on to the next one. JTN 1968. Dad talking. Need to take my dog out. No big pots until I get back. I make no guarantees there. Also, what kind of dog? D. Gonzalez 75051. You sound like Tony Romo. That's not the first time I've heard that, which I think is a compliment, and I'll take it. Hopefully I get to meet Tony one day, and I can take his job for his $10 million a year, whatever his contract is. That's the goal. That's the goal, is for me to grind up from YouTube live streaming poker tournaments to, a recurring NBC deal or a Fox Sunday NFL deal for $10 million a year. That'd be the most ideal outcome, I think. Hand number 28. Break up Google now. Yep. Basically how often you put anything into the pot excluding blinds. All right. Okay. Victor F, ace queen off in the cutoff, raising it. Scuba Scott all in, Jack 10 suited. Victor F with 1.1 million, facing 30K additional. It's going to insta call here. 540K in the pot. Scuba Scott started this final table as the chip leader, and now his tournament life is on the line. Ace 3-7, 2 hearts, though. He needs to catch a heart for a flush, and he fades all of the hearts, and so Scuba Scott is going to be eliminated. In 6th place, Scuba Scott is going to take home It's going to take home $2,586. All these players are now guaranteed $3,408. Let's see. Getting back to the chat. Sorry, I'm catching up. A lot of going on. Akita Boxer Mix. And he seriously watches the stream too. Jared Farber. Shout out Cooper, the pro producer. That's right. Cooper making everything happen. I think it's 18 mil a year now. Gosh, Tony Romo has an amazing gig. Logan Taylor, what's the highest stake game you've ever played? I've played some 2040 limit hold'em, 2040 Omaha 8. I've played 2-5 no limit, 2-5 PLO probably. I definitely have played 2-5 no limit, 2-5 PLO, but probably technically the biggest stake was the 2040 limit hold'em, 2040 Omaha 8. David E, contemplating Rhino's all in with ace jack off in the cutoff in the big blind. He's only got 430K behind. What's the highest stake game y'all have ever played? I'm curious. What level of bankrolls are we working with out there in the chat? Let me know if you feel comfortable. Don't tell me what your bankroll is, but I'm just saying, tell me what's the biggest stake you've ever played. David E's really thinking about it here. 7-6 suited in the big blind. I'm not sure what you hope to accomplish here by calling, unless you're only gambling. I mean, yeah, probably a good fold. I can't hear what they're saying, but I'm sure Rhino's like, I mean, bro, I've got you crushed. Unknown chip magnet. Highest stakes I ever dealt was 100, 200 PLO, and the tips were non-existent. Woof. That's so unfortunate. Especially when you're dealing that game. It's like, dude, this game is so huge. I'm about to get hooked up. Break up Google now. 816 Omaha 8. 2-5 no limit. Don't have time to play because of work. Yeah. 1-2, 1 cent, 2 cent. 10-20. 420 no limit. Toothpicks now worth $100,000. Wow, big fold, 6-7 suited. Slightly upset Canadian. My bankroll is 500,000. Yeah, my bankroll is like 2.8 million, for sure. That's in Poker Stars Play Money. Yeah, for sure. It's like blinds have gone up 20K, 40K with a 40K big blind ante. The blinds are up. There's 5 remaining. In S, I play a 1-2 game 9-handed. There's 10K on the table every time. It's a pretty good 1-2 game, I think. Space City Stunts 10-20 limit or 10-20 no limit? Victor F. Second nut low. Deuce 3 off. Don't you dare. He's thinking about it, though. Where we at on payout? We're down to 5, and so everyone's guaranteed $3,408. Fourth place will win $4,569. Nice. Rhino pocket 5s. He's had a pretty good run of cards so far. Cutoff, raising it to 90. Clarence B all in for 300K with 2 unknown cards. I imagine Rhino's going to come along for this. Walter R 10-3 suited in the big blind. Gonna fold. Clarence B looking uninterested, but he's probably got a big one under there. Rhino calls. Clarence B looks like what? Ace King? Ace Jack? Hard to see from this. Oh, Ace King. Yep. How did I know? Huge one. 650K in the pot versus pocket 5s for Rhino. Classic flip here. 4-7 King. Clarence B in the lead. Another King on the turn. Dead to a 5 for Rhino. 10 of clubs on the river. So Clarence B is going to get a full double up here. 650,000 chips. He adds 375K. And he needed that one. All the other players were counting their money for 4th place, but 5th place is still alive. Buy-in was $365. $365 buy-in, unlimited re-entries. 20K, 40K, 40K. Clarence B's got some playable chips now. Final 5. We started with 173. We're down to 5. I'm not sure if y'all can hear that, but it's baby talking, baby crying for sure. Apologies for that. 100K in the pot, but also he's a baby, you know. David E. pocket 3s. You got to shove here on the button. And he does. So it's going to be down to Victor, I think, unless Walter R. spazzes or something. It's a fold. Victor F. King 7 off in the big blind. Maybe if it was a little cheaper, it's a call. I don't know. It's a lot of chips to call with King 7 off. R Ace 6 off on the button. Looks like he made 125, 105. I don't know. Rhino, Queen 7 suited. Might be worth a defend, facing a 65,000 chip bet. You're in the big blind. Maybe even a 3-bet against Walter R. He's got it in him. He's capable of it, but he's also kind of got a sensitive chip stack here. And he's just going to defend here with the Queen 7 suited. I don't blame him. Jack 3, 4. Yuck. Terrible flop for both players. Rhino thinking about doing a lead here. Stop and go. He checked. My bad. It says his options. He must have checked super quick. So Walter R is going to continue 200K into 270, and Rhino's trying to get a read here. It's like, dude, what hits this board so much? That's raising on the button, misses this board, but Rhino thinks better of it and just gives it up for Walter R. Feed baby. Yeah. Thankfully, I have an angel wife that is feeding the baby. Oh, yeah, there it is. John Sarver. Pre-Black Friday, I played a $3 rebuy on Memorial Day. Over 8,000 runners. I won it for almost $12,000 on PokerStars. Hand 33. But live poker is where it's at. So Rhino here completing the small blind 9-4 suited and clearance speed 9-3 suited in the big blind. Jack 10-6. Another weird flop. This might check all the way through. 9 of diamonds on the turn. Rhino picks up an open-ended straight draw and a diamond draw. Clarence B, open-ended straight draw as well. Yeah, you got to bet here. 120 in the pot. Looks like maybe 100K. 80K. Rhino bets 80. Clarence B might think about it here with an open-ended straight draw. He's going to call once. So I think Rhino needs to prepare to double barrel this either way. You got to bet here. So actually, Clarence B rivers a pair. And the only way Rhino's going to win is if he bets big here. Well, maybe. I mean, or if he can make it feel value-y, maybe that'll get Clarence B to fold. But he's definitely not going to win at Showdown. I think he knows that. Yeah. Looks like what? 280? 180? 180K and Clarence B gets out of the way. Good bet by Rhino, and he's going to take it down. Nice bet. Nice bet on the turn. Nice continue on the river. And the big stacks get bigger. We are down to 5. A couple short stacks out there, but it's any man's game. They're playing for 14 grand, and they've all got heart. And it's up to the cards and a little bit of skill on who is going to take that $14,000 prize. Walter R, Queen 7 suited, under the gun. Shorties are feeling the pressure. Absolutely. Ace 5 off for Victor F in the cutoff. I think it's worth an open 5-handed in the cutoff here. It looks like maybe 230. $230,000. Rhino ace 4 off in the button. On the button, sorry. Weird spot though. Not a great hand. You know, you'd open it if it was folded to you, but you're facing a guy that's got you covered and could really put the hurt on you. Is it worth a 3-bet? Do you think Victor F is stealing here? Probably not. David E's got nothing. Victor F going to take it down 330,000. Headed over to Victor F. Taking a look at the payouts once again. In dollars, $3,408 for all these players currently. Santa Claus, good point. Clarence had a good bluff catcher. Blocks King 9, clubs bet flop. John Sarver, how many runners on this? 173. So pretty huge turnout. I mean, some of those are re-entries for sure, but still, prize pool over doubled the 20K guarantee. Rhino with nothing. Queen 3 off in the cutoff. Clarence B, King 5 suited on the button. That looks like maybe a call on the button. David E takes the opportunity to shove. Walter R, pretty big hand. King Queen suited in the big blind. And Walter R asking for a count. We don't know what David E has, but he liked the opportunity with Clarence B limping the button there. You know, you can't imagine Clarence B's limping the button often with a strong hand, and so Walter R is going to call versus David E. He looks like he's got maybe an ace and something, ace 4, ace 5. Can't really see. 940 in the pot. Yeah, ace 4. David E's tournament life on the line. King, deuce, deuce. Queen on the turn, 2 pair for Walter. 9 on the river. David E is going to be eliminated in 5th place, taking home $3,000, around $3,400. This thing is never up when I need it to be. $3,408 for David E. So we're down to 4. Walter R wins another huge one with King Queen suited. And then there were 4. Clarence B has survived past a couple positions where he thought he might have been eliminated, and now he's guaranteed $4,569. Rhino, ace 4 off under the gun. Clarence B all in. Ace 10 off in the cutoff. And Clarence B going to take down an uncontested one, plus 100K with ace 10 off. Clarence B might be making a run. Put your rally caps on, 4-handed. Sorry, I was having to communicate with my producer. My bad. Yeah, ace 10's fine. I think ace 10's an insta shove. Clarence B thinking about another shove here. He's got $500,000 in chips. He's going to call for 40K. Bradley Tenney, my money's on Big C. I like it. We'll see how he does. Clarence B here, King 6 suited, under the gun. Victor F might need to start stealing a little bit. Rhino, King 8 suited in the big blind. This might be a good position as well. But he's got to be asking, what is Clarence B limping with under the gun here? I guess if they've been paying attention, they probably could have noted that Clarence B has limped a couple times and folded to a raise pre-flop. But Rhino's chilling. He said, let's see him. Four, three, nine, two hearts, Clarence B, one over, and big heart draw. Jack on the turn. Technically, Rhino's still ahead. Five of diamonds on the river, and Rhino is still good if he can make it to showdown. Checks. Clarence B is going to check through. And Rhino says king high. And the 8 is going to play. Blind versus blind. Rhino's going to take down another one. Yeah. 13 bigs flat under the gun with king 6. Yeah. Tournament strategy may be a little different than the cash game strategy. Or maybe some players play the same in cash and in tournaments. Everybody gets to play their money how they want to play it, I guess. Always something to learn on TCH Live. It's great to be able to see the whole cards. It's great to be with you tonight on your Saturday night. My name is Ben. Special Zoom edition of TCH Live, broadcasting from my home, my 10x10 office here in Richardson, Texas. Beautiful Richardson, Texas, resort capital of the world, as we bring you the conclusion of the weekly 365 unlimited reentry, 20K guaranteed, no limit hold'em tournament. Victor F on the button, queen 5 suited, raising it to a hundo. Rhino in the small blind, jack 10 off. Thinking about it, this is kind of a 3-better fold scenario. Don't really want to call here because it puts yourself in a weird position versus Victor F. Clarence B is going to defend, though. King 10 suited in the big blind. Hopefully he can find like a stop-and-go play here. Slightly upset Canadian. Are you wearing pants, though? Well, we may never know. You may never know. Boyd, Fleming, Nemi, and Owen playing on TCH this weekend. They're playing June 8th and 9th, actually. June 8th, they're going to be playing TCH Live, so you should be able to see them on stream. And then June 9th, they'll be playing a local meetup game at TCH Dallas. As Victor F is going to take that one down on an 8-3-5 flop with Victor F out-flopping Clarence B. The payouts are pretty significant here, so I don't blame them for wanting to play tight. This isn't a super deep stack structure here. I mean, they've got a couple players have over 1 million in chips, but still relative to the blinds, it's not super deep, and so they need to pick their spots diligently and not be splashing around too much because, as the chat pros would say, ICM suicide. You want to avoid that. Rhino, queen 4 suited on the button. 1.1 million in chips. Clarence B, ace deuce suited. Steel wheel draw, all in for 350K. Walter R, 7-6 in the big blind. He's going to ask for a count. And is going to think about it. 94 likes. There's 502 of you watching currently. Would really appreciate everybody roundhouse kicking that like button into the abyss for me. Smash that like button for us. Clarence B gets one through. If you are rooting for Clarence B, hit that like button. And the chat is heating up. Justin Rayfield ran so sick today with a sicko at table 1 for 4 hours straight. Good times, though. Go leave the thumbs up. FFS, however you want to interpret that. Queen 10 off under the gun for Rhino. 100K. It's gonna heat up here shortly. You know, these tournaments go and kind of have momentum and they go in waves. Especially once the blinds go up one more time, there's gonna be a lot more shoving, I think. G-Miles42, the chat pros are hard to please tonight. I mean, it's a pretty tough crowd every single time, and I do this 3 or 4 times a week. It's a pretty tough crowd. But also, it helps you develop a thick skin. So maybe we have a multi-way pot brewing here. Rhino raised to 105 with queen 10 off under the gun. Clarence B called for 105K. 6-4 suited on the button, and Walter R with 2 million in chips. Ace 7 off in the small blind with his nemesis to his left, and he's going to get out of the way. Victor F ace deuce nut low here in the big blind, facing an under the gun raise and a call on the button. So heads up again. Rhino versus Clarence B. Clarence B's just got 325K behind, so he needs to flop pure here. Kind of gambling a bit. Jack 3. So I guess you have to continue here for maybe a small bet from Rhino, and Clarence B's he just has to fold. Yeah, I mean, people wanting to ladder definitely affects your play. It's pretty hard to play optimally when you're just worried about laddering up. But also, it's real money at stake. I mean, thousands of dollars at stake between each position. I mean, we're down to 4, and each player right now is guaranteed a little over $4,000, $4,569, and third place is $6,234. I mean, so like the pay jumps are pretty significant. Yeah, he did have a super low SPR. Rhino gets a walk with 2 random cards. Sammy Hold'em. Well, maybe you can learn what not to do. That's right. Michael Tilton can't win being afraid to lose. Scared money don't make money. Is that the saying? Hand 42 here. Unless you inherit the money, then whatever kind of money it is makes money because you were given the money. Walter R. King Jack suited under the gun, definitely playing this. Opens it up to the light, 115. Victor F with a suited deuce 3, no good. Rhino. Hand 43, 20K, 40K, 40K. G-Miles42, good point. They would play better if they could see the cards like us. That's right. We have a pretty unique position. We surpassed the 100 like mark. Thank you to everybody that did that. As we're down to 4. It's TCH Live. We're live from Dallas, Texas. Texas Card House has locations in Dallas, Austin, Houston, and the Rio Grande Valley. And each Saturday night will be the final table of this tournament. $365 buy-in from Dallas, Texas. Tomorrow night will be the final table from Austin. And then the rest of the week, we play live cash games, alternating between Austin and Dallas. My name's Ben. I'm here, solo Zoom edition of TCH Live. Thank you for joining us. Hand 44 blinds are up. 25K, 50K with a 50K big blind. Annie. Bunch of chips in the pot to begin with. Walter R. completing the small blind. Ace deuce off. He's got 2 million in chips. Victor F. maybe deciding to steal here. Raising it to 125. I'm sorry. The graphics. Walter R. raised it to 125. Victor F. called. My bad. King 7 deuce. So Walter R. bottom pair, backdoor hearts, and Victor F. with some backdoor spades only. Walter R. is going to check after raising pre, and Victor F. going to put a bet out there. 110,000 into 300. Walter R. might have to call one here. Bottom pair, backdoor nut hearts. Boyd Fleming, great point. Live poker is certainly not dead. And Walter R. is going to come along for a call. 110, 520 in the pot, $500,000. Big turn card here. Deuce. Wow. And this is how you win tournaments when you run like this. Walter R., maybe a little bit of exaggeration, checks his trips. And Victor F. not picking up on it is going to continue betting to 300K. Walter R. perfect turn card here. Just the money card. It looks like such a blank and looking off. Oh, man, this is Mike Caro's Book of Tells type stuff. Walter R. looking off the table, not looking interested, but he's just got a massive hand. He's got the check mark here. Victor F. cannot catch up. And Walter R. is just going to check shove here for 1.8 million. And Victor F. is going to have to instantly fold. ABC favorites, Ben Solo. Yeah, I like that. That's a better name, I think. And Victor F. is going to get out of the way. Walter R. going to win a big one, almost over $500,000 pot, $500,000 chip pot, excuse me. And he is well solidified his chip lead. The final four of this $365 tournament. I imagine the chat's going to catch up with that hand, and I will enjoy that for myself. That was a fun one. Deuce of diamonds on the turn. That was huge. On to the next one, hand 45. Probably got a color up coming soon. A lot of those 5K chips. Walter R. 9-7 off on the button. 2.7 million. Victor F. huge hand. Ace King off versus pocket aces again for Rhino. Wow. And so Victor F.'s tournament life on the line as a 7% dog. Rhino again picking up pocket aces blind versus blind against Ace King off. 2.1 million chip pot here. I can't see what the flop is. Jack 449, and he's drawing dead. Queen of diamonds on the river, and just like that, Victor F. eliminated in 4th place to Rhino, who can do no wrong. Pocket aces, and Victor F. is eliminated just like that. They're getting the pots straight, but I think if the graphics are correct, Victor F. is going to be eliminated. 4,569 for his 4th place finish. Congrats to him. And now there were 3. Everyone guaranteed $6,234. The IDs are coming out because the payouts are about to get serious. So Rhino with a pretty equivalent chip stack to Walter R., I think, or at least enough to be dangerous against Walter R., especially on his left. Clarence B's got a lot of ground to make up, but he's laddered up 2 or 3 spots that he probably didn't think that he was going to make. So we're down to our final 3, and as we color up these chips and get the paperwork squared away, one more plug for Brad Owen and Andrew Neme's Texas Tour. They're currently in the Rio Grande Valley Texas Card House location, but they'll be coming through to Texas Card House Dallas June 8th and 9th. June 8th, they'll be a part of the TCH live stream. Hopefully, I'll get to commentate that and at least kick it with those guys. And then June 9th, same location, TCH Dallas. They're going to be doing a meetup game, playing some probably 2-card, no limit hold'em with all of you fine folks. And so if you want to get in on the action with Brad and Andrew, come through next week, June 8th and 9th. It should be fun. These guys are class acts, and they have some great content that they put out on YouTube. So come through to TCH Dallas off Harry Hines Boulevard. Checking back in on the chat as everyone's processing that ace-king versus aces hand. Yeah, I mean, so clutch. Blind versus blind, aces versus ace-king. And, another plug here, if you're trying to get your own blind versus blind battles on the high seas in 2022, Texas Card House, in collaboration with Royal Caribbean, is going to be putting on their own poker cruise March 20th through the 27th. The port we're sailing out of is in Galveston, heading to Costa Maya, Roatan, and Cozumel. And the internal rooms are going for as low as $800 a person. 7 nights. That is like a good long time on a cruise boat with a fully staffed, functioning card room managed by Texas Card House on Liberty of the Seas by Royal Caribbean, sailing out of Galveston, Texas. Get all the info, texascardhouse.com. There's a nice big banner that you can click on to get all the info and get your tickets. That should be a fun one. And shout out to the chat. Shout out to all the fun analysis. And let me check back here because I know I got distracted with my ads that I got to do. Epic Dan is doubling down. Clarence is winning this thing. Clarence, 400 IQ, Omega brained, chipped up Rhino so he could eliminate Victor. Nicole Wyman, great job commentating. Appreciate the stream. Hey, thank you, Nicole. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Trying my darndest, Alone and unafraid. Been solo. Dad talking. Live from Richardson, Texas. Yeah, Rhino is he's definitely got game. With tournaments, it's anybody's game, but Rhino he's made a couple of these final tables and has probably had the most experience out of these 3. So, but good luck to all 3 of the players. Break up Google now. Yeah, good job on solo commentary, which can be tough. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, you basically have to sit here and talk to yourself for all of eternity, depending on how long the final table lasts. So thanks for joining me. D-Baller49 started following Andrew Demi when he only had about 300 followers. He's got a ton now. He really blew up the vlogger scene for sure. And so we're back playing 3-handed. Everybody's guaranteed $6,234, and I imagine everyone's elated. But the real prize is up top, $14,000. And they're only 2 players away. You just have to eliminate 2 people to win $14,000, bro. Bradley Tinney, Sesame Street ads. That's right. Great commentary. Thank you. See, this is saving me money on therapy that I just get affirmation from all the chat pros instead of, paying for counseling. Appreciate that. Walter R. King 7 off in the small blind. $3 million in chips. Raising it to 150. Rhino's probably got something for him. King Queen off in the big blind. This is the spot, I think, where you start to 3-bet here. Make it like, what do you make it? 425 or something? You got a 3-bet here, right? In position versus... But he's just going to call. What do I know? Queen 9-5. Walter here misses the flop, and Rhino just flops huge here. Top pair, really good kicker. Break up Google now, 150K, but Brad had the fastest poker growth. 60K to 300K in like a year. That's awesome. Walter betting 200K. I bet Rhino smooths here. Pretty dry flop. No flush draws. 1 straight draw out there, but it looks like he might be raising. But he's calling. Ten of diamonds on the turn. So Walter R is dead to a chop, I think, right? Just a jack gives him a chop. Nothing wins him the hand. Walter R is going to continue the story. 750K in the pot, 1.1 million in the pot. Sorry, he bets 350. And Rhino here, bro. Do you flat one more time, or do you put the raise in now? And he does just call, just milking him now. I think Rhino probably understands where Walter R is at. Walter R, ooh, he's got a 7 on the river, dude. Ooh, baby, he's going to put another bet out there. Really trying to bluff. Really trying to sell it here. 500K. Rhino smiling, knows that, like, dude, there's no way I can fold this. But also, Walter R has been running pretty good. Don't you dare, Rhino. This is absolutely a call. I mean, we get to see the cards, but I mean, this is a huge bet. Maybe not a huge bet. There was 1.5 in the pot, but it's still a third of Rhino's stack that he's got to call here with one pair. You know, some of the queen tens and queen nines are there, but dude, I mean, you're blocking a lot of those hands too with king queen. Maybe he's Hollywooding for a raise here. I don't know. He just calls. And Walter R has to show the king 7. And so Rhino here, huge swing in his favor here. Massive pot, 2.5 million chip pot here. And so Rhino has now the chip lead. And this is the issue with being having a guy on your left that's got pretty equal size stack, is like once you get in those weird spots, betting out of position blind versus blind. Rhino, huge win there for him. Yeah, 7 didn't really change anything. That was a huge pot. That was a massive pot. So Walter here, he's got 1.6 million. Jack 10 off on the button. I imagine he's going to start opening it up a bit now that he wins that huge pot, or now that he loses that huge pot. I see what you're saying. Break up Google. The math basically forces a call, but folding there isn't the worst play ever to make sure you can knock out clearance. It's bad, but yeah. ICM considerations for sure. For sure. Rhino here. Rhino. So, like, look, this is what needs to happen oftentimes for you to win a tournament, is to have huge hands like this, blind versus blind. Walter R raising to 125. Rhino ace king off, and he's just going to shove it here, 3.5 million. Saying, all right, Walter, what say you, good sir? Raising my blinds here on the button. John M, 173 entrants. And he's going to fold it, Rhino. Taking that one down, steamrolling the field. It helps to have really good hands, but also the table doesn't know that. I mean, they've seen him have aces, but for those hands, like, he doesn't show, and so he's getting it looks like he's putting the pressure on, and he is, objectively. And now he's on the button with just a massive chip lead. Clarence B is just hoping for a miracle here. And Clarence B is all in the small blind. And so I think you probably need to call any two here, right? To eliminate. to eliminate Clarence B for like a $2,000 ladder. But he's going to raise it to 125. Walter R might need to call this. But he's going to fold. I think, doesn't the tournament, shouldn't you just limp there the button to make sure that you have 2 players versus 1 to eliminate him? I don't know. Deuce 4 6 2 hearts. See, this is what I'm saying. Walter R had a flush draw, would have turned a queen high flush. Jack on the river. And it looks like Rhino will eliminate Clarence B in 3rd place. He really grinded there and made it last. Kind of rode a short stack for the entire tournament and made it to 3rd place for a pretty significant payout. Over $6,000 for 3rd place. And Rhino's going to add onto his chip. Clarence B taking home $6,234. Thank you to everybody that stuck with us for the conclusion of this $365 buy-in tournament. 173 entrants, and we're down to 2. Heads up, Walter R versus the Rhino. Clarence chipping a chair, that's right. Hey, Clarence, I mean, he put the work in here. So Walter R called the button, completing the small blind. Heads up, when you're on the button, you're the small blind as well. Rhino here, ace-9 off. Pretty nice hand, heads up, big blind. Probably worth a raise. Rhino's going to raise it. Walter's going to get out of there. And taking a look at the payouts right now, $14,000 for first. Each of these players are guaranteed $8,660. Nice. It's a pretty nice payout for a day's worth of poker work. Turning $365 into at least $8,000. Come on now. Rhino on the button, king 8 off. Looks like he's having a great time. It's nice to be running pure at the final table of a big tournament. And this is, it's interesting to watch people play heads up here because there's so few people that get much heads up experience. And so it's always interesting to watch these heads up matches here because it's often not, it's often unconventional, I think, the heads up strategy that you see at these final tables. John M, is this same day registration or pre-register online? Same day registration, just show up and register. Starts at 11 a.m. and the registration's open for at least 3 hours, I think. Walter R, king 8 on the button. Raising it to 125. Rhino, 10-6 suited. Almost 4 million in chips in the big blind. Facing a 75,000 chip raise. He's going to come along for a call. Heads up to a flop. Haven't seen a flop in a while. Jack 6-4. Rhino out flopping here. Middle pair, backdoor clubs. Right? Backdoor clubs. Walter checking through. 5 on the turn. 5 of spades on the turn improves no one. Rhino, 77% equity here. He might actually bet for value with his middle pair. He does. Looks like 75K. Walter floating here. 50K, sorry. Walter floating here for 50K. Drawing to a straight. Oh, and he hits a straight. Wow. Walter R hits the 4 outer on the river to hit his 8 high straight. I imagine he's not going to get much value out of Rhino unless he bets super small here. 4-liner to a straight. It looks like maybe 250. Yeah, Walter R bets 250. And what do you do if you're Rhino here? 4-liner to a straight. You kind of let him get there. Not really. I mean, you bet just so small on the turn. Walter R might be talking to him. All right, now Rhino's not happy about this bet. He's kind of pissed, and he folds it. Smartly, 650,000 chip pot headed over to Walter R. He needed that one to stay alive. Both of these players really trying to make it happen to win $14,000. Hand 53, 25K, 50K with a 50K big blind ante. Pocket nines on the button for Rhino. Huge hand, heads up. And he's just going to limp. Jack 6 off for Walter R on the big blind. He's going to check through. Ace 7-4. Rhino didn't raise on the button. Walter R is going to check over to Rhino. Rhino's going to bet 75K. Walter R just has absolutely nothing. Seth Bryant, does TCH allow final table splits? Yeah, they're able to chop. And we are still heads up. Saturday night, 10:30 p.m. I think it's been a good pace. I can't remember what time we started, but so far the tournament has been running at a pretty good pace. Walter, it looks like they're discussing some type of business, doing a little financials maybe. I don't think they're talking about dinner plans. And I imagine that's going to do it. It looks like they've reached a deal, and I'm being told now that as the heads-up match concludes, they did agree to a chop. I know that maybe disappoints some of the watchers, but taking $2,000 off of first. So first place is going to win $12,012, and second place is going to win $10,660. So Rhino winning first for $12,012, and second place, Walter R. valiantly winning $10,660. Thank you to everybody watching the stream on Saturday night. You could have been anywhere doing anything, but you chilled with me as we concluded this $365 buy-in No Limit Hold'em tournament. One last plug for Brado and Andrew Neme's meetup game, June 8th and 9th. They're going to be TCH live on June 8th and doing a classic Brado and Andrew Neme meetup game June 9th. Should be fun. Please come through to that if you want to try to get some of the